Anyone, or can anyone see my screen that's being shared right now? Thumbs up from everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, awesome. All right, so for those who do or do not have Teams up, Teams actually is a wonderful tool as far as collaboration. Microsoft went ahead and wanted to kind of do something similar to SharePoint. I don't know if anyone has ever used an application called SharePoint, maybe in particular groups that there are now or different organizations where we can come together in one central collaborative hub. But this is what Teams does. And the great thing about Teams is that it's actually a four-in-one kind of solution, if you will. You'll notice if you kind of take the time to play around with this tool, you'll have your instant messaging. You have the ability to do chatting and online meeting capabilities via just audio or via video. You can actually collaborate on documents. So it's pretty similar to if you were working in Dropbox with another colleague or Google Docs or Google Drive, and even Google Hangout, because again, you can actually set up instant meetings. So definitely play around with some of these tools as we kind of go through all the features. The first thing you'll notice about Microsoft Teams, it always starts off with an activity, kind of like pretty similar to Canvas, where you have your dashboard and it'll probably show an activity or feed of your latest activity. If you all are even in your Teams application right now or even thinking about looking into it later, you might of course see no activity, but what you might notice underneath are a section, a toolbar with not just activity but the ability to chat. So if you all are kind of following along with me, you'll notice that it actually suggests different colleagues that you actually are working with, just by the frequency of the people that you talk to, but also you can also have a new chat, which is at the very top, and I can start a new chat as well. And just like your instant messenger that you may use for Yahoo, or if anyone ever used Link, you'll notice that we all have certain type of statuses. So of course Dr. Barber's not here this week, and so of course you don't see any type of indication by her name. Is saying that she's offline, but again, underneath of there I have Dr. Barber, and at this time it's saying that she's busy. So it's, or the same way with Dr. Reynoso, and right now Dr. Reynoso, did you change your status, Dr. Reynoso? Hi, thank you. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I actually was going to call on Humberto to practice with me, and if everyone is looking at my screen, he actually sent me a message. So let's see. What you will notice about Teams is that anytime you start a conversation in Teams, it has the ability to record that conversation. And so when we get into creating teams or joining teams, you may find that useful as far as record keeping. So let's see. Hello, Reynoso. So again, you can see Humberto said hello to me, and I'm saying hello back, and also see Linnell as well. If you notice, as I go between Humberto and Linnell, just like you would with any other instant messaging tool, I can go back and forth and have multiple conversations at the same time. And I'll make sure not to talk about Linnell to Humberto and vice versa while I'm on. And Amalera, hi Amalera. So the great thing about this is, for those who did not have the ability to utilize our instant messenger link prior to when it was taken away from our applications, we can actually be in the same building, right down the hall from each other, and actually start instant messaging each other, which I think is really great in the event that we just need to start a conversation, and maybe you don't want to have a phone call, or maybe at least it gives you another option. As we go forward in this conversation, so let's just say right now I'm in a conversation with Linnell. Right next door to that conversations tab is something called files. So I actually have the ability within a conversation to share either from my OneDrive with Microsoft 365 or uploading from my computer. Let's see here. Any type of file or document. So you may notice that it's going to actually open a document within this area. So it's going to upload it, and if you think about it, it actually reminds you to how Dropbox actually looks when you're uploading files. You can upload as many files as you like, but within a conversation, which I think is a great attribute to this particular application, I can actually, in this one conversation, pull up if Linnell and I are working on any type of minutes, say, for instance, for the sake of this video, and actually go in and edit. Now, it's 3 ways you can actually edit in Teams. You can edit within Teams. There's a way you can edit within a desktop app. So it would actually download this actual Word document, and I can edit, or I can open it within a browser. And actually, Linnell and I would be able to have the ability, just like you would see in Google Drive, to update and edit within a document, which I think is actually pretty interesting in one conversation. Linnell, were you able to kind of see me upload that in our conversation?
Yeah, yes, and I actually put an edit on it.
Okay.
I was wondering if it would show up on yours right away.
And I'm going to actually go back in and edit, and actually I can see in real time where Linnell put her edits. If I can find it. Linnell, there you are. So it kind of reminds you of Google Drive, and that's one thing about Microsoft Teams. Is a 4-in-1 solution. So we can chat, we can talk, we can collaborate, we can work on files, we can call each other right away via video, all in one. So if that's something that in the midst of your conversation you want to do, and also this is in Teams as well, and we'll talk about that in a little bit further, this is a great feature as well. Thank you, Linnell, for participating with me. I appreciate it. And I also have, now that I'm out of that conversation, with Tammy. Hi, Tammy.
I accidentally started calling you.
Oh, Tammy called me. Thank you, Tammy. This is actually a feature I'll go to now. Actually, I think I'll skip to that. I'll go to Teams in a second. But as we talked about conversations, there is an ability to call, and it doesn't mean that we're calling each other on the phone. But what it does is, with all of us having our audio and video on right now, I could actually make a phone call to Tammy. And this would be via this instant messenger. And for the sake of feedback, of course, not too bad, but as you can see, we can actually make phone calls or video calls similar to Skype inside of this one app. So in a conversation, you can just start calling, you can start not just collaborating, but actually having a video call. So thank you, Tammy, for being part of that demonstration. Any questions so far on the calls as well?
Nicole, I have a question about this is Daphne. Hi.
Hi, Daphne. Thank you.
For your chats, can you have multiple people on one chat?
You can have multiple people on one chat. So let's just say if I'm still on this chat with Tammy, I can actually, if you can see at the top, there's Tammy's name there, and we've started a conversation. If you actually take your mouse and go over to the right, not only can I call her with video or just audio, I can actually add people, and you'll see a little icon there, and I will be able to add your name. Now, again, these names are coming up based on us being as faculty and staff, and other people within your contact list per Microsoft Outlook. So that's why a lot of your names are coming up every time I actually add you all, but I can actually add you, Daphne, to that conversation. And if you notice now at the top is 3 of us as participants, Tammy, you and myself. So what you would now notice is if we both or just one of us sent you a message or any type of started a conversation with you, you should be able to see a notification come up on your desktop that says that you've been added to a conversation. Have you seen that?
I do. I see it. Yes. So that means we can also, multiple people can work on a document too if we're all on the same
Yes. And
conversation.
that's that was my main focus of actually being excited about sharing information about teams because as far as us being faculty and staff and the different committees that we're on or in different projects that we're on or assignments or ad hoc committees, I think in one space it's great. It's a great tool. And also Teams is great at record keeping too. So if, say for instance, if you were out, Daphne, on tomorrow and Wednesday but came back on Thursday, you can actually come back to this same conversation within your chat history and kind of go back and not only see the conversation, but also see the files that we shared together and things of that nature. So it's great. And I think that's also part of why Microsoft wanted to put those type of security features on there as well for any type of accountability or just record keeping. So that's great because you may forget if we did have a conversation or what was said or what was agreed upon. So that's something that's there as well. Any other questions? That was a good question.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you.
I have a question. So I have lots of little groups within Outlook.
Yes.
You know, and they have Outlook 365 also has where you can share files and work on them and all of that. So what's the difference? Advantages, disadvantages.
Right.
With that.
I'm actually glad. Thank you for that question. So that was going to be my next actual category of Teams. Teams works with 365 with your OneNote. And so it's OneNote what you all are using to collaborate with and some of the other collaborating tools on the cloud version of 365. So any type of files or any type of recordings that you do within Teams, you will actually see those in your cloud version of Microsoft 365. So if you and I and Daphne were working on a file here within Teams, we could also open that file, work on that file in OneNote, which is in 365, and be able to still see that whenever we logged into, maybe if you all have actually used your email outside of Microsoft Outlook, the actual one with Mercer online, you'll actually see that in your 365, that file. So nothing actually will be lost and nothing would be duplicated if you want to start a file here. Or you can even pull in your OneNote files within our team session.
And Nicole, there's also an app that you're able to access on your phone. So like as far as like keeping conversations and so forth, you can kind of download the app and still communicate. And then I don't know if we have time for the like the actual teams, but like what we've set up in FAC as a standing committee and like collaborating with the newsletter would be something like definitely beneficial, different from Outlook and what you can do with some of the other ones.
Right. No, thank you for sharing that. Actually, going next to Teams, and it actually is very self-explanatory, like Umberto said. So when you actually want to add a team, and this is what Teams means, it's a collaborative space. You can have as many teams if you want. Teams has the ability to be utilized for education as far as with teachers and students. I do feel as though with that particular part of Teams, that is when, if I want to create a team, join a team, or create a team. I feel as though because we have a great LMS within Canvas, the options that it gives you when you want to set up a team with your class is pretty similar to how you add assignments and add discussion boards, things of that nature in Canvas. So I don't really, in my perspective, see you all getting benefit of using it that way. But as far as Humberto was saying with FAC, I thought it would be great with our other standing committees along with FAC. If we say we want to create a team for each standing committee, as an overall, and then we can add different people to just like all the people that are in our faculty meeting, or all our faculty and all our staff. And then within those teams, there are actually channels. So you might be wondering, is everything public to everyone? That is not the case. You can actually have different channels or different teams, or different teams that have channels. So let's just say for FAC, and I'm not sure, Humberto, if you all have different ad hocs or different groups or project groups within that. Is that how you have probably utilized channels, or have you just created teams?
I haven't, because I was new to the platform, I haven't really used any of the channels. I created an FAC team, and I added Sarah, Stephanie, Omalara, and Caroline, and just kind of tested how to communicate and how to share documents. It's hard to access, so I can access it with my phone, and I don't recall if there's an app for your iPad as of yet. But it is user-friendly, and you are able to kind of communicate and share documents fairly easy. And it's nice to be able to kind of just text on the chat and not necessarily call or have to bother someone if they're not really working on that project at the moment. So
Right. And I like that you've actually been working with that, and actually tell them, actually let me know to look into this as well. So for instance, I don't think we have Maura on the call with us, but Maura is our chair of UCC, and I do know for UCC, for instance, within UCC we have many different subgroups or different people on different ad hoc committees. So if I wanted to create a team, which was UCC, similar to how Humberto set up a team for FAC, I could create that team, and within that team create different channels for only those ad hoc people in those ad hoc groups to communicate, which I think is really great. So within the team, we can all collaborate, but also anyone who is in UCC, but they're in writing across the curriculum, or they're in the test-taking ad hoc group, they actually would have their own private channel underneath of UCC to actually have conversations, to actually add files and collaborate on files, and actually just have some brainstorming or note-taking sessions where that's always recorded and always retrievable. So I definitely see that helpful for anyone else who might be on any other standing committees, and you are separated into different types of groups. You can actually have multiple teams, but also have different sub-teams, or what teams like to call channels under one team.
So Nicole, are you suggesting that there would be some sort of advantage to having like a structure of all GPCN teams that then, so you would have to create the structure, or is it better for us just to, make up a whole bunch of teams individually?
I think just to kind of play around with this, again, I don't see, and I did talk to help us about this with the upgrade to the new version of Windows and with the incorporation of 365. The Teams is something that's not going anywhere. It has replaced Skype for Business, so it looks like we will have this application for a while. If we wanted, on the grand scheme of things, to ever utilize Teams as a structure from top level, we could do that, or it could be created with the permissions given by our deans and associate deans. But just in this level of you all being chairs of an actual standing committee, and not having to go back and forth in Outlook and an email or things of that nature, and uploading different documents or sharing different documents in Dropbox. You can actually use this to create your own team as a chair, and actually subdivide them in subcommittees or sub-channels, as Teams calls it, and make it a structure for your particular committee. So it's just different ideas as I was going through Teams and what it can do for us and how it can serve the purpose of organization and do what it says it does, is be a hub for collaboration for faculty and staff. So that's a good idea from the high scheme of things, but I think from how you would like to use it, it'd definitely be useful. And Humberto has already started using it with FAC, and I can see that he's had some success with that. So. Did anybody else have any other questions? As far as that was a good, just a good idea of recommendations of how we could use it. There are different icons like assignments. So assignments, I have taken a look at it. I have played around with it. Again, we have and are very comfortable with our Canvas LMS. And so for those who may not have a structure like we do here at the college, and want to create assignments and add students to those different teams or that particular team per course, that's where I would see the benefit of that. But that actually would not apply for us really, because we actually use Canvas as our LMS. So it does have LMS capabilities where you can add your students. Again, it would not be connected to my Mercer or anything like that, so you would have to add them manually. But they do have options similar to LMS that we actually utilize as instructors in Canvas. Calendar is the next icon, and the great thing about Calendar, similar to our Microsoft Outlook, we can actually set up meetings for future reference or set up instant meetings, but those meetings would be just like I had just called Tammy over the instant messenger, so it would not be us meeting in a physical place, or it wouldn't be a Zoom meeting. It would actually be me meeting with any one of the faculty members via Teams or via Teams through our video messaging. So that could be a great option if you don't want to go through the whole procedures of scheduling a Zoom meeting and getting that link and sharing that link with your group members or your colleagues. We could actually go to the calendar, select a day that you actually wanted to meet with your colleague, set up the actual title. Location, of course, would be no location because it is distance, but we can schedule a time, and that would actually go, that invite would not just go to myself, but it would go to whoever else I invited. So you wouldn't actually have to go and use Zoom in this instance. You can actually have a meeting scheduled through your instant messenger with Teams, or you can schedule to have a scheduled meeting for in future, set for the future. Any questions on that as well? That's definitely something you can play with. And Humberto, I'm not sure if you've actually done anything with the calendar yet, but it's a great feature that I've tested with different people on this floor. So
yeah, it's actually it works well with your Outlook calendar. So if you have a meeting on your Outlook calendar, it'll transfer over, so you have an idea of like what your schedule is looking like. If you are working with a group on a project, then you need to know quickly, you know, what your availability is. So it does incorporate nicely from Outlook. And just to one thing that I kind of played with was creating a team for myself. So like it allows you to set dates and such for projects. So I've kind of converted my to-do list and created a team for myself where I have different projects that I'm working on and where those projects are. The nice thing about that is that you're also able to kind of add people to that project and say, if we're working on something, Stephanie and I are working on something together, I can add her to that that project, and then that project can be labeled as in progress, and we have like set dates or like set objectives for those. So it's also, it can be very project management type of approach, or you can also just kind of use it to organize your to-do list and like some of the projects that you're working on yourself.
Right, and I appreciate you sharing that with us, because it can be as high level as capturing something like Humberto was saying as far as project management, or if you simply just wanted to utilize it as an instant messenger to talk to your colleague on the other side of the hallway in this building. So you have a lot of capabilities to make it fit your needs, which I think is really great as well. Any other questions about Teams? Again, one thing I like about it, again, it's a 4-in-1 solution. You can use it as high level or as just for plain communication as possible, as much as possible. But one thing to keep in mind, and I did ask different questions technically to help this, and also with researching Teams, they have noticed that with people who are Mac users and also with iPad, that you might notice that when you're sharing documents and actually utilizing that desktop application to download that document that you're sharing with your group, that you may notice some of the features may be different. And that's only really because Teams is a Microsoft product or Microsoft 365 product, so you'll still have capabilities, but it might not be as many capabilities if you're using your Mac or your iPad for that desktop application on that device, but you will see the same amount of features if you open it within Teams and edited the document, or if you open it within the browser, or the browser being your 365 cloud storage. So that's just a little tip for those our Mac users and our users of iPads if you're collaborating on documents with Teams.
Do you just go to your app store to get the Teams? Because something popped up when you were talking about a thing you scanned. Or
Okay, so actually there are 2 ways you can get, let's see, Teams. Of course, you can also get Teams from, if you're with Android in your Google Play, you can also install Teams if you have the iPhone with the iStore. But this one is when you have that QRS kind of app as well, or a QRS reader. In your case, for your iPad or your Android device or anything like that, you'll go to App Store for Apple and Google Play for that. And that's how you would actually install it, like you would install any other application on your phone, your mobile device. They actually put this here, I think, just to let you know that if you have a QR reader, that you could actually scan it there. But for those of us who do not have a QR reader, which I do not, I would just go to the app. And this is something I'm still working on. I actually have iPhone, so I have downloaded it, but have not actually utilized it. I want to kind of practice with my own team that I'm going to build and kind of demo this and come back later and share information, or we can have a sharing session of those who had their experience with this on their mobile device. But I'm working to get some more information about the mobile device app for Teams. And also, for those who want to know a little bit more, there is a help button at the bottom of your Teams application, similar to like if we're in Canvas and we have a help button, and they actually have different type of trainings. And the trainings are really just videos of trainings about the application, different new things that are going on with the application and things of that nature. So it's nothing that's more of a class, it's more so videos that have already been recorded. And also a community if you have different questions about it and want answers that way as well. Any questions about Teams, or if anyone has any ideas just from this this session of how it's been helpful? I know Humberto's been using it. I've been playing around with it myself and kind of created some teams with a couple other colleagues.
Nicole, Let me ask you this. So when Stephanie asked her first question, she said Teams and Outlook.
Mm-hmm.
And when you answered her question, you said Teams and OneNote. Are y'all both talking about the OneDrive, or am I missing some connection?
Oh, I'm sorry. So Teams. So and Stephanie, you let me know if you've been working in any other type of applications. But anytime we actually go to our cloud area for Microsoft 365, it doesn't matter if it's OneDrive or OneNote. Those are actually available with Teams. So Stephanie, I didn't get to ask Stephanie if she was using OneDrive or OneNote, but anything that she's using on that front, actually she could actually share and use in Teams.
So I had like groups that I make in Outlook, you know, and there's you can make groups in Outlook now, not on our desktop, but when you're doing it in the cloud, and you can share files and stuff. So I was trying to see kind of the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Because I use Outlook all my groups are in Outlook. So I wanted to see if the team would function the same way. Is what I was trying to say.
Right. So the team really functions as a kind of a real-time kind of situation. So similar to if you had a team working on a document or any type of project in Drive. I mean, as you can see, is when I pulled up a couple of files, Linnell and I were both kind of working in that file at the same time. So you have the ability to have real-time editing or always contributing whenever you would like to, but within that one conversation or within that one meeting, we could actually contribute together. So that kind of is the difference. It is great that Microsoft Outlook has given us that option, but also with Teams, if you wanted to have an instant meeting with Linnell and myself, we could go ahead and edit a document right then and there at one time or in real time. So that's kind of the benefit of that. And Linnell added a wonderful GIF picture for us. Thank you. It's Monday and she shared a nice cup of coffee. And that's a great thing too. So for those who love their instant messenger with Yahoo or any other type of instant messenger tool that you're using, you could actually send each other different little GIFs and different little emoticons outside of just your text messages as well. So thank you, Linnell. I love that picture.
And I think to Stephanie's point, where Outlook, you're able to organize like groups and kind of share availability and have some kind of idea. Like I know we do that with our graduate students. Steph, is what groups you kind of like put together. I think this kind of gives you a lot of other options that incorporate the Outlook calendar as well as like groups. I do like the instant message, and I've used that to kind of like reach out to Tammy or to Daphne to say, you know, is it okay to like stop by? I have a quick question. It allows you to like kind of see if your availability is open. If you're green, then you're kind of at your desktop. If you're red, then you might be at a conference call or anything of that sort. So, I think it's a nice platform. So thank you, Nicole, for kind of orienting us to that, all the different options that it has.
No, anytime. And also, like Humberto was just saying before I let you all go, as far as your status, just like you probably would at home if you use an instant messenger with any particular tool, at the top right, you'll see your picture, or if you have a picture or either just your initials, it says green for available, like Humberto said. With any other instant messenger tool, I could actually go in and say what my status is. So that's why you probably see the different statuses over here in different colors. I could go in and actually say if I'm do not disturb or if I'm away and things of that nature. Thank you, Humberto. And I hope that was helpful for anyone who might want to take a look at it and see how it could be useful, especially if you're working with different colleagues with projects or if you're in different groups.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Hi,
all.
this is Amalara. Please submit your evaluations in my box. Thank you.
Thank you, Amalara.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.
Nicole. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Nicole.
Great.